Hey everybody, this is Percy LaPointe with the Lawn and Landscape Podcast. In this episode, we're going to talk about safety to meet OSHA regulation, and it goes into way in depth to meet all the OSHA regulations for a Lawn and Landscape Podcast. But we're going to just try to touch on a few of them so you can kind of get the concept, the idea, and get started. Before we get into the episode, though, I want to tell you a true story that happened to myself in our lawn and landscape company. Is why I'm so big about safety now and why it's so important. So, it is June of 2016. I get a phone call from one of my Hispanic workers, and he calls me. He's hollering and screaming, and one of the other guys in the truck accidentally flipped a lawnmower in a pond, and it was a fatality. So in this particular case, what to do, what not to do to prevent, we're not sure what we could have done. We replay it all in our minds quite often, and so it's a very emotional time. And I didn't say that to just go into our privacy in our particular company, but really just to put it out there that safety is a very, very big deal. The reason why OSHA is in place is to protect us, to protect not just the business owner, but everybody. So, if you think, and if you're anything like me, hey, sometimes I've not overlooked things, just not really think about it. Stop and really think about all the safety regulations. So, a couple of key points I want to discuss today, just to make sure that you're thinking always about safety and your guys and yourself for that matter. So, number one, you want to make sure you have eye protection. I mean, that's kind of some of the basics, but when you're weed eating or weed whacking, you want to make sure you have the eye protection to protect your eyes from any debris that's coming in from the sun. You want to make sure that you have that. Earplugs, ear protection, that's really, really, really important as well. Gloves, you want to make sure you have the proper gloves. Make sure you have, for those guys that have chemical on the trucks, make sure that you have MSDS books. There must have a copy in all of the vehicles, as well as in your building. And for us, since we have Hispanic workers and American workers, we have everything in Spanish and in English. So there's no question about it. We have everything, all the exit signs, Spanish and English, all the fuel, hazmat communication signs, Spanish and in English. We have everything in Spanish and in English, so that way we meet all of the codes. So that's really, really important. You most definitely want to look around. Just look around. For example, the next topic I'll discuss, and then I'll give you a quick story, is the chemical, the hazmat signs. You wouldn't imagine where, we just didn't even think about it and just didn't have the hazmat signs up. And, I was like, golly, I knew about them. I just, been in business for so long, I just didn't think about it. So you want to make sure you have all of your hazmat. We had some of them. We didn't have all of them. Your hazmat signs up. The hazmat signs are really, really important. So, along with that, we had an oxygen acetylene bottle or torch that we've been having for years off on the side. We didn't have the MSDS papers for that because it wasn't really part of the lawn and landscape stuff. It was just in our shop. And so we didn't meet code. So you got to think about little things like that. There are so many angles. You need to stop. I would most definitely recommend, because I just kind of basically opened up the door to my shop, stopped, and looked around. What do we need to improve? What looks like a safety hazard? We went as far as hired a safety person to do a report for us. So basically, she came in, looked at everything, did an audit of our entire office, the shop, the operations, and then basically gave us pages upon pages of reports of all the things we needed to fix. And we did them. Now, I know what you're going to say. Safety, I mean, it cost us a lot of money to make sure we had the proper safety in place. But I can tell you this, it doesn't cost more than a fatality. And then when you're talking about a fatality, a life is way more important than any money you can ever gain and ever spend. A life is not worth that. So, from me to you, please take this to heart. I would recommend doing the audit and implementing whatever's in there to protect yourself, to protect your company, to protect your guys from any and all obstacles that may be in the way that you're just not thinking about. Because I'm going to tell you, I read the report from the lady who did the audit, and I was just blown away at all the simple things that I've walked by in the shop and just never thought about. Oh man, look, we got to do this. There were just a lot of things that just blew me away. So from that perspective, I would really think about it. Make sure you have safety programs in place. And if you're like us, we do safety programs. Every other Monday, we have a safety program that goes down. We say it in English. Then we have a translator. Somebody says it in Spanish, and it's recorded. So everything's recorded on video, so we can play it in the future. We have an archive of everything, and then we make everybody sign off on it. Signing off on all of your safety is the most important thing you can do. So that's pretty much it for today. There are a lot of other things we can go into, but the podcast would go on forever. So that's just a couple of key things that I want you guys to start thinking about. Just take safety overall in general, very important. So I hate to get emotional on you guys or to kind of bring that up, but I really find it very deep in my heart that it's important to talk about and discuss it with you guys so you know what's going on. That way you can fix it before it's too late. So I appreciate you listening. Thank you so much. Percy LaPointe, Lawn and Landscape Podcast.